one day I was with a friend of mine, looking at a taco truck, and we were like, let's open one. And we were broke. Trust me, we didn't have the money to open one. We just got one, and we didn't know what to do with it. It was Mexican Mediterranean fusion. That's what we did first. It lasted for 6 months. We were in the newspaper. Trust me, for the first and only halal food truck back then. We couldn't last. We didn't know anything about the business, so we shut down.
The Halal Food Podcast, brought to you by HalalRun, the #1 guide to halal eating options in North America. Assalamu alaikum, everybody, and welcome to the Halal Food Podcast, where we interview the talent and the entrepreneurs powering the halal food industry in North America. Today's guest has an inspiring success story. His name is Mohammad Altawaha, and he is a Jordanian who came to the U.S. as a grad student. He came to Houston, Texas, and on a whim, he started a food truck, which eventually grew into a massive 20-location chain known to everybody as Abu Omar Halal, the one and only. So without further delay, we're going to jump over to the conversation with Mohammad. If you like what you hear, please make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment saying hi. And we're here in conversation with Mohammad Altawaha, who is the real original Abu Omar. Mohammad, assalamu alaikum. Thanks for joining us.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you so much for having me with you guys.
So, Mohammad, I take it you have a son named Omar. Is that where you're? Is that why you called your restaurant Abu Omar?
Yes, finally, he came 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Everybody called me Abu Omar since I was like maybe 10, 12, something like this.
Oh, really? So you knew from then that you had to name your first son Omar. That was like
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. So Omar, thank you. Abu Omar, uh, thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to have you, and our guests are really excited to hear your story. So, why don't we start off with just that? Tell us about your story, your journey, how you came from Jordan to the U.S., and how you got into the food business.
Like like every other immigrant came to the U.S., they usually come to study or to work or for fun. I came to study first. Then I took a different route.
What
I
did you
started
come to
working.
study?
Masters.
In
I
what
have
area?
bachelor. I have bachelor in economics, so I was gonna do some MBA or accounting. I started taking accounting actually. I did it for like 2 semesters. Then I started working for a restaurant. It was fun. Then I started liking it more and more. Then I'm sunk in this business industry. It's been 12 years so far, and more. Actually, more. 13 years, 14 years.
Wow, alhamdulillah. Um,
Alhamdulillah.
how did you make the transition from working into restaurants to, you decided to start your own establishment, which I believe you started with a food truck first, right? So tell me, how that went.
So one day I was with a friend of mine, looking at a taco truck, and we were like, let's open one. And we were broke. Trust me, we didn't have the money to open one. We just got one, and we didn't know what to do with it. It was Mexican Mediterranean fusion. That's what we did first. It lasted for 6 months. We were in the newspaper. Trust me, for the first and only halal food truck back then. We couldn't last. We didn't know anything about the business, so we shut down. Reopened in 2015 again. So the first one was in 2010. We shut down, then we opened back in 2015.
Wow, so a 5-year break, huh?
Oh yeah,
So what were you doing in those 5 years? Were you just
managing restaurants, I mean, from restaurant to another.
great? And then you opened it back up in 2015, and what happened from there?
It was a joke when we opened. I was like, let me try it. I opened it. I was making $20 a day, $30 a day. And I'm like, okay, I'll give it another month. So I asked a friend of mine for $1,000 to pay the rent, and was that the last month? If I'm not making make money, I'll be out. 2 3 weeks, I stopped making 700, 800, 900. I'm like, okay. Now we have 20 location all over.
Yeah, all over the country. Um, so why don't you tell me a little bit about that? How did you go from, one location in Houston to all the locations you have right now, right? In Texas and as well as other states. So what was the journey or the growth path from when you finally started and it worked until now?
So the first truck was like on 2015. Start picking up at the end of 2015, and it was something unique. Nobody has it. The Arabic style I have. Then more demand came from different locations. Let's open here. I did. And perception is reality. I believe that like I have to open everywhere. So I, from location to another, a success to another. I have friends like family here who help me pick up the business, and that's how we are now all over.
So if I have it right, you're in Texas, California,
Oklahoma,
Oklahoma, Florida.
yes, sir. We used to be in North Carolina, but we shut it down.
Okay, Habibi, when you coming to New York, New Jersey? Because I that's where I am.
Actually, I was gonna have one in New York recently, but the rents are too crazy.
Yeah,
It's
tell me about it.
70,000 and up for like small space. I can open 5 locations down here. Hmm.
Okay, that means I'll have to come down there to eat.
Of course, it's better
Yeah,
than the cold weather you have here.
exactly. So, so tell me and our viewers a little bit about your menu. What are the most popular items on your menu, and where have you kind of gotten all the recipes from?
Chicken, the chicken shawarma is the main one. Honestly, the whole recipe, there's no more chefs anymore. Nobody creative. You go online, you can Google whatever you want, YouTube, whatever you want, and there's a lot of recipes. But you have to add a little bit here, a little bit there to make it happen. The first like 15, 20 patches I made my friends eat it and throw it in the trash. That's what the friends for, until like we came up with the last one. And that's how I have my recipe now.
That's great. That's great. Now, um, you know, you were operating. If you started again in 2015 and you started to expand, you were very much in business when COVID hit. So why don't you tell us kind of what that was like, operate for your establishment operating through COVID, or especially at the beginning, but also sort of today.
COVID was a lesson, you know what I mean? Like we went from walk-ins to online more. Like I'm old school. I never believed in social media or online ordering. Now I'm more doing more work in social media and online ordering. Uh, Customer base. Not everybody's loyal. When things happen, they disappear. So you have to have more diverse customers from everywhere. Employees, they never last. So COVID was a big lesson for everyone.
And some of the challenges are still continuing today, right?
Of course, they're never going to be over.
Muhammad, what is kind of the besides what we were talking about with COVID, what is, would you say, the biggest challenge of running not just a food restaurant, but a halal restaurant in particular?
Halal business is not a big deal, I mean, now everybody knows halal now. Maybe before it was kind of something different when I opened. Nobody has a halal food truck. I was the first and only in Houston. But as a business itself, employees is the number one challenge. Now the price of everything is going high. You know, that's a different challenge now after COVID. Before you used to have a lot of skills, that skills labor more than now. Now nobody want to work. So it's getting hot. Of course, like you especially with our thing, you have to train 2 3 months. They disappear. You have to retrain again. That's the hardest part about it. It's not a flipping a burger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. Um, What so on the topic of being a halal food establishment, what percentage of your customers would you say are actually Muslim who are attracted because it's a halal food option versus just non-Muslims in general who like your food?
Before COVID, I had let's say 80% Muslim community. COVID hits, now I have the opposite, 80% non-Muslim community.
Wow. And that shift is mainly because you brought into your marketing? Is that what you
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure what happened, but COVID changed the whole percentage. You know what I mean?
that's very interesting.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Um do you have do you have any kind of stories about like really memorable customers? Is there any customer you've served who it was so interesting that you remember it, right? Whether it was a person who's famous or just acting interestingly or
Honestly, no. The only one I remember it happened with one of my employee. He had a customer, and she was talking to him, and he was making jokes with her and make fun with her. And she had like before she leaves, like, "Do you know who am I?" He was like, "No, I don't know who are you." And she was like, "I'm the governor for Austin." I'm like, "Thank you so much,
oh wow,
thank you." And he didn't know. He kept like, "Who is this?" I'm like, "You don't know who's this?" He was like, "No, okay, just don't worry about it. I'm not gonna explain to you."
that's pretty impressive
Yeah.
that the governor came to eat.
Oh, yeah.
So Mohammed, a couple of more questions. What would you say? We talked about challenges, but what do you say is the most rewarding thing? What do you enjoy most about running a food establishment?
Now that's a good question. When I started this business, it was more fun than now. Now it's more tiring. But I'll be honest with you, when people see me, "Hey, Abu Omar, I love your food. Your food is the best." Now I hear more complaints than this word. That used to be the best thing to hear. Like, "Oh, I love your food. I love the thing you have," and "Oh, wow, this is something special, unique." Now it's been a few years. I don't hear that anymore. I do, but it's not like it used to be. It's not fun anymore.
Yeah, lots of competition, lots of
Oh yeah,
challenges,
my
lots of
employees have their stores next to me now. So
yeah. Oh, so they've left and they've moved on and they've kind of started their own competitive.
yeah.
I guess that's what happens, right? In America, everybody's an entrepreneur.
Oh yeah. I don't mind that. I help them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's great. Um, so Mohammed, just last couple of questions. Um, what uh do you have any kind of involvement with your local community? A lot of restaurants I find, will build ties to the local community or local establishments. Has that been a big part of your
Yeah, of
operations
course.
or
Like yesterday, we were in the Palestinian festival. We 2 weeks before we were in the Lebanese festival. Any halal festival we are in Dallas, in Austin, San Antonio. Anything happened around us, we're involved. Like we have to be there. You know what I mean? There's no event without a Walmart.
that's great. Um then really last couple of questions. One, can you tell me about sort of one or two or any number of Muslim Americans, right? Because we like celebrating all Muslims, Muslim Americans, uh, and not even necessarily in the food business, but Muslim Americans who you admire and why.
All of them. I'm not. I'm biased about it. They're all the same. I don't have a specification.
Oh no, or any one sort of Muslim, like there's a lot of sort of role models in the community or sort of established Muslims in kind of popular culture. Is there anyone in particular that you've always
No,
thought?
not in Houston. Maybe different state they have different stuff, but in Houston we're all together. Everybody knows everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, great. And then other than your own restaurant, right? Other than Abu Omar, what is your favorite or one of your favorite halal establishments near you in the Houston area where you sometimes go to eat?
Fatties, um, halal, not halal guys. Halal. What is it? Gyro Hut.
Yeah,
What
Jarahat.
else? Yeah, there's a lot. You know, I mean, I don't care because I'm in the area like everything is halal around me. It's not like specific. Any restaurant you go, it's halal. Like we don't drive to go to halal place. Everything here is halal. You just can park anywhere and eat.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'll have to come visit. Look, I came to the U.S. in 2000. No, sorry, I came to New York in 2000. I came to the U.S. in 1992, and back then, finding no internet, no nothing, right? Finding anything halal was like the biggest mission.
Challenge.
Yeah, biggest challenge. Now, alhamdulillah, it's all halal.
Oh yeah, yeah. And here in the area we are now, it's halal. Everything is halal. Yeah. Even KFC, Popeyes.
Yeah. Well, this is the way the Muslim Americans would like it. So it's great. Muhammad, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Our viewers are the people who come to our website are big fans of your food establishment, right? We get a lot of traffic. We've gotten requests, which is why we wanted to have you on the show. And on behalf of all of them, thank you for all the great work you've been doing, because people do appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you again. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Thanks for joining us. Halal Run is the number one guide to halal eating options on the internet. We feature over 13,000 listings in over 2,000 cities on our website, which is halalrun.com. You can also find us on all our socials, where our handle everywhere is at HalalRun. And if you enjoyed this interview, please subscribe so we can bring you more great content. See you next time.